I don't know why audio on the Mac is so complicated.
I don't know why Google Hangouts is so complicated. I can't get the stream and Google Hangouts to show my video.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to look at my Discord settings? Because I might be able to tweak those if you
No,
think.
let's just run with it.
Well, so wait, so you're not going to be able to stream?
No, I can stream. I just can't see my video. I don't know. Don't. It doesn't matter. I can see
Oh,
you,
okay.
but I
I
can't see me.
gotcha.
I like looking at me. I'm pretty. I'm a pretty guy, so I like looking at myself.
Okay, well, so let's make that our goal for next time because I would like to have, well, I don't know. Doesn't it make sense to have you on my screen as well?
Yes, that's what I was
So,
trying to do, and I asked.
yeah.
Do you know who Elder Taco is?
Yes.
Okay, he does like the talk shows, Taco Talk, and he does
Right.
that. So I was gonna ask him. Not respond.
Okay. Well, let's make that our goal for next time, right? Okay. Cool. All right.
Want to start
So,
this off?
yeah, are we actually ready to talk about Godzilla
I
now?
think we're ready.
Okay, all right. Cool. Well, let me pull up some of our information here. So, okay. All right, guys. So we are finally ready to talk about Godzilla. So basically, what our goal is to kind of discuss key items about the film, kind of like Godzilla lore and mythology, and how the design of this movie compares to other movies, as well as like analyzing just the movie itself and whether or not it is a good movie or a bad movie
Let's also keep in
objectively.
mind that this is Godzilla '98. That's very
Yes,
important.
yes. So yes, Godzilla 1998, American made. Toho gave over the rights to Sony at that point, I guess, and Sony ran with this movie, and that's Godzilla 1998 is what we ended up with here.
Yeah, probably because it was the most readily available out of the two movies we wanted to review. It was on Hulu and accessible there. Also, it's a very like polarizing film. It's either you love it or you hate it. I am part of the camp that hates it, to be completely honest. Or I should say I hated it before I came into this.
And I actually enjoy the film very much. And I, acknowledge its flaws. But I think it is a very enjoyable movie.
Okay,
So I don't know. Do we want to do like a quick rundown of the plot for people who may not remember what it's about?
I think we should, yeah.
Okay, all right. You want to start us off?
I guess. So you start off and you got um, what seems to be, I guess it's a Japanese, uh, some kind of a boat. I guess it's a destroyer or something along those lines. And it gets attacked by an unseen thing. All you see is, the tail swinging against the boat and all this. And then it cuts to Panama or something like that. And it kind of just like progressively builds, which I got to give them props for. They build it up pretty well.
Mhm.
Um, so it goes to Panama, and you meet, or actually, yeah, you go to Panama, and there's something going on there. Them having Godzilla there as well, and so then you meet Matthew Broderick's character, Ferris Bueller, and he's looking at earthworms in Chernobyl. Yes, and then they go to New York, and they kind of like follow it to New York, and then that's where the meat of the story takes place. Where like I would say probably an hour and a half of the movie.
Yeah, so I think essentially like uh oh, what is that? Inked guy. Hey, thanks for the follow.
Thanks, Drunk Gamer,
Um,
for that.
so essentially, like, okay, so you have this radiated mutated creature. Matthew Broderick, scientist, gets pulled in to figure out what the heck is going on, right? And then you end up in New York.
Yeah,
So then, like you said, the meat of the movie is sort of this the discovery and then the chase of Godzilla,
yeah. I mean,
right?
I would say so. Yeah, it's probably like 50-50, the chase and the discovery, the kind of figuring out what exactly it is and what it's doing, what its motives are, and such. It's probably about 50-50.
Yeah. So I mean, the movie kind of goes on. They're chasing down Godzilla, but you know, I guess we can spoil the movie, right? If we're talking about
It's
it.
been 20
Uh,
years. I feel like it's fine.
but what ends up happening is, obviously they can't have this giant dinosaur stomping around New York, so Godzilla does die. But his
You're gonna kill.
his offspring or its offspring, there's the possibility that its offspring survives, which is kind of the lead in to a sequel that was never made.
Right. It was planned. From what I read, Matthew Broderick, the female character, I can't remember, and Roland, is it Roland or Roderick? I can't remember. Emmerich, the director. I think it's Roland. Either way, they were signed to do 3 movies, and obviously they never made a second one.
Well, so I think that there is so much outrage at this movie that what ended up happening was that Toho took back the rights to Godzilla, didn't want Sony to make any more movies, and and actually spurred Toho to start creating more Japanese-made Godzilla movies. So like right before Godzilla 1998, there was this huge lull in Godzilla movies, right? And so this was sort of their like, their debut after I don't know how many years it was. This was the first one in a long time, but it was just so like the general consensus was that it was just so bad that Toho took it back. And I can't remember what I can't remember the name of the movies that Toho made after that. But those Godzilla movies were very popular after that. So,
And you
you
also
know,
have to keep in mind that the original actors from the original Godzilla movie saw this movie, and they refer to it as GINO, which is Godzilla in name only, because it doesn't look like Godzilla, doesn't act like Godzilla. Nothing really about the movie feels like Godzilla movie,
well,
but
yeah,
it is
yeah,
also an Americanization of Godzilla. So kind of take your good with your bad.
yeah. Well, I think that's a good point to talk about. We've got some people in chat saying that, let's see, Drunken Gamer says that Godzilla '98 was his favorite growing up, and it made for awesome Taco Bell commercials. What was it? So, what was the campaign for that? Wasn't it "Size does matter"? Was
Yes,
like
that
the
is
slogan.
the slogan of the movie on the movie poster. Facts.
Yeah, yeah. So, I definitely have fond memories of it, but so let's go ahead and sort of give our initial ratings of the movie. So, like from what we remember, what we've seen of Godzilla 98, Tin Man, what would you rate this movie currently?
Currently or before I watched it again.
Well, I mean, since we rewatched it for this stream, I mean, I would say the rewatch. Like,
So
what is your current opinion on this movie?
Currently, I would say this is about a out of 3.5 to 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10, or sorry, 3.5 to 4 out of 10. Okay.
Before
Are-
before I rewatched it, it was a 1 out of 10. When I was a kid, I hated this movie absolutely
really?
brutally. I thought it was super boring. I did not enjoy
How
it at all. And I'm
how
like
old were you?
about 9 years old,
Okay.
9 or 10 or so. So
So,
I remember it, but I don't remember it fondly.
all right, so we have someone in chat, Inked Guy. You heard that the director hated the movies. Are you talking about the director, the one who directed this one, Godzilla 1998? Because I didn't read into that too much. But the like you were saying, Tin Man, it was Roland Emmerich.
Right.
So he also did what, Independence Day,
And he did both Independence Days.
both
He
Independence
did
Days.
Stargate. He did Universal Soldier.
Yeah.
Um, a couple other ones that were pretty well known movies, but I can't remember them offhand.
Yeah, so Inked Guy, if you have some information about the director and like why he hated these, definitely put it in chat. But I will say that my rating of this movie, I want to give it a higher rating than it probably deserves. So I feel like I would give it a 7 out of 10, but I'm gonna knock it down a notch. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. My my sister is gasping in the background because she doesn't think that's right. What would you give it, Lizzie? Oh, you did? Okay, wait. Okay. 12 out of 10 is what my sister
12
would
out
rate
of
this movie.
10? Oh, man.
So obviously we've got some lovers of the movie in chat right now. So that would be my I would say 6.5 out of 10, because like I said, I recognize that it has some flaws, but I think overall it was just like a really fun monster romp. So kind of on that around that idea, let's go back to the the question of whether or not this is like actually a Godzilla movie.
The answer is no.
Is no.
It's not a
And
Godzilla movie.
and I would agree. I mean, in the Godzilla canon, so once Toho took this movie, once they took the rights back to Godzilla, um, they redesignated the monster in Godzilla 1998. They renamed him as Zilla. So he's just a kaiju, right? He's just a monster, and not actually Godzilla.
Right.
So that is in the Godzilla universe canon currently, and I would agree. I mean, it's definitely not like classic Godzilla. So in look and feel and like the behavior of Godzilla. So I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit, Tin Man.
I so like I'm sitting there and I'm watching this movie. I just watched it today, so I would have it. I mean, I watched it before. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to have it fresh. Um, he runs away from the helicopters and the guns. Godzilla doesn't run away. He stands there and he just knocks down buildings and knocks stuff out of the air. He doesn't give a shit. And then
Yeah.
you want to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, so I think a big part of the movie was that this God's quote unquote Godzilla, right? This monster is, they say it multiple times throughout the movie, but that just an animal. He has animal instincts, and so I think that even though he's this huge lizard, if there are things after him or there are bright lights and things shooting him, then I think he's going to react how an animal reacts. But obviously, that's not like classic Godzilla,
Right.
right?
And like,
Classic Godzilla is not just an animal.
right. Like, I get that. I understand that not only is it an animal, and they say, as you said, animal like characteristics and all this stuff, but it also is protecting its young. It knows that it laid eggs down in the infinite tunnels, apparently, go to nowhere.
The
Um,
infinite New York tunnels.
yeah. Um,
Bye,
So
Kat. How are you?
it's going to try its very best to make it back there alive, care for its young. I understand that, but that's not God. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's it's hard to say. It's hard to call this a Godzilla film when the title character doesn't even act like it should. I guess is what I'm trying to.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think we can both agree that this isn't a Godzilla movie. So if we're analyzing it from that perspective, then I think that really changes a lot about the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's hard to take the fact that it is a Godzilla movie out of the equation, if that makes any sense. Like it's hard to
It
not
it
compare it
does.
to the originals that we grew up with. Well, not grew up with, but you know what I mean. We grew up watching and stuff and all that. It's hard to not compare it to that because it was supposed to be a Godzilla movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
looking back, it's not a Godzilla movie, which is all fine and good, but back then it was a Godzilla.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Um it does make it difficult to kind of separate the 2. Because in my mind, when I think about this movie with the score that I gave it, I called it, like, a fun monster romp, and I think it really is because, it's got those, like, quippy one-liners, it doesn't really take itself too seriously, just like Independence Day, I feel like when I
Mhm.
rewatched it, it felt very much like Independence Day. Obviously, it was directed by the same person, but it's kind of goofy, it's kind of cheesy, monster romp, like, and that's kind of how I see it, and maybe that's where my score is coming from.
I,
Because I tend not to look at it as a Godzilla movie necessarily.
that's fair. I mean, there's one thing. Well, there's a few things I gotta say that this movie does really well. One of them is the visual effects. I think
Mhm.
that after that first initial attack on New York, there's like cabs that are smashed to the ground. There's
Yeah.
every time Godzilla takes a step, you can see it visibly putting footprints into the concrete, asphalt or whatever. And then um, one of the things it does really well is that it doesn't best way to say this like it it's gonna make me sound bad because I really like 2014 Godzilla, but it's on screen a lot more than 2014 Godzilla, and
Yeah.
so like that's really good. I applaud it for that. They had the character on screen for a lot of the movie, but
Y
whatever.
they did, and that was one of my beefs with, Godzilla 2014. Not we won't get into that right now,
We won't get
but,
into triggering me.
but yeah, I mean, I think, in a Godzilla movie, I would like to see, Godzilla, I guess, and, I don't know.
I
I don't know.
understand. I understand what you're saying, and I think it's
But
a fair assessment. It's fair. I can agree with it. I don't like
yeah.
to agree with it, but I can agree with it.
Hey, Ink Guy, thanks for the host. I appreciate it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the effects of the movie were pretty good. I mean, obviously some of them look slightly outdated, but
Mhm.
overall, I feel like the movie has held up pretty well. Um,
Yeah,
so I
there are definitely. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
yeah, no,
There are
yours.
definitely some scenes in that movie that are pretty, pretty freaking awesome. Like the first scene where Godzilla shows up in New York with the fisherman on the pier, and he like hooks Godzilla or whatever. He's like, "Oh, it's a big one" or whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then you see Godzilla swimming towards him, and the pier is just popping up. Like
Yes.
that's awesome.
So that whole scene, like from the pier popping up, like Godzilla swimming towards it, and then you get like this view of like a bridge or something, and Godzilla just like comes up like and steps over the bridge, and there's like boats smashing down and stuff. Like I just thought that whole scene was really cool. So,
What's up, Standoff?
again, whether or not you want to categorize this as a Godzilla movie or not, I think that there were definitely some really great, just like cool monster moments, like with camera angles and different things.
Definitely. There's another scene, probably about halfway through the movie. They're like looking for Godzilla in one of the tunnels. I can't remember where it is. They're like, "Oh, I heard something down here," and they like look down there like, "Oh, I guess I just, I was wrong or whatever,"
Yeah,
and and then like they start to walk away, and Godzilla's eye pops up at the end of the tunnel, and
that
like it
was cool.
raises up, and you're like, "Okay, I can dig this scene. This is a good scene." There are some good
Yeah.
scenes. I'm not gonna completely tear the movie apart like I
Mhm.
thought I was, but it's got some good scenes. But overall, I still feel like it's a
Yeah, oh, so someone in chat, Inked Guy says that he had some faults with that scene. Are you talking about the scene where he's swimming towards the bridge, or are you talking about the scene where his eye pops up in the sewers?
thank you for
Because
the host.
I thought those were both really great scenes. So I don't know. We'll come back to that maybe. But yeah, yeah. I mean, for as many like cool, awesome monster scenes as there were, like there were also like I will admit that like there was a lot of dialogue that was pretty weak. Like some of the characters' stories, character development, and
Hey,
things like
Danger.
that. Like is and I love Matthew Broderick, but I feel like his character overall in the movie was not that strong. Like he was kind of bumbly through the whole movie. I don't know how I felt
He's
about that,
Yeah, he's
but
essentially his character from War Games all grown up. You ever
yeah.
seen War Game? Like he's essentially
Yeah.
him because he apparently knows everything automatically as soon as it comes up, and then stuff goes wrong, and then he knows the next thing to do. But
He's
he's
just a
Matthew.
really super smart scientist,
I
the man.
guess. I guess that's what. I mean, obviously, as soon as you meet a new species, pregnancy, which that's. Can we just talk about how he bought like a take-home pregnancy test? And
Yeah, but like he says, obviously these tests weren't designed for this, but the basic principles are still the same.
but still, it's a
They
take-home
test for the
pregnancy
same
test.
things.
And he's like taking pictures of like the Empire State Building and stuff, which is another thing. I really like that they destroy key parts of New York. They don't like coddle New York. Like, oh, people don't want to see, you know, the World Trade Center or the Empire State Building or all that, all that stuff. But for crying out loud, they completely destroyed the Brooklyn Bridge at the very end of the.
They did. They just destroyed that place. Like no building was safe.
Yeah, it was great. I like that because I hate movies that are like, oh well, we can't show, you know, um, this getting destroyed because it's too iconic to. And here's Godzilla tearing down the Chrysler Building, so I'm cool
Yeah.
with it.
Well, what did they say in the movie? They're like, this is the most destruction that New York has seen since
Since the World
what?
Trade Center bombings,
Yeah, yeah,
the first one,
yep, yep. And so that was interesting to me because I feel like since 9/11, showing that stuff in movies is like it was kind of a sensitive topic or
yeah,
a sensitive thing to show. So it's interesting, like to your point, that they were kind of just like Godzilla was just like tearing through whatever. It was
yeah,
just like everything and anything was going down. So
yeah. I like that because I don't. This is off topic, but I think it was the first. I think it was the first Spider-Man movie, Tobey Maguire. There was supposed to be a scene where he like spins a web in between the World Trade Center, the two towers, and
mhm.
catches like a helicopter or something like that. And they're like, no, we can't have that because the World Trade Center bombings, which granted was pretty soon, but still, I mean,
Yeah.
like that would have been a cool scene. That would have been like an awesome scene, but no.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It was just interesting to me. It was just something that I noticed. So yeah.
Let's talk about the design of Godzilla.
Okay. Sure.
Um, I think he looks awesome.
No, really?
He looks like a mix between an iguana, a frog, hunchback, and a T-Rex.
Okay, let's just I have to say that I loved the design of Godzilla.
What?
So, like, I just it's really cool. And I'm just gonna pull up a picture. Because I feel like I need to look at this while I'm talking about it.
Sure, do it.
All right. So, okay. So to me, okay, and this was another thing. So like if this had been, the relaunch of Godzilla, like I want like a toy or like a figure. There you go. So like if this had been a Godzilla, like a legit Godzilla movie, let's say the movie was actually really good, right?
Okay.
But this was Godzilla's design, I would be okay with that. Like, there's something about it that I like aesthetically, I just find very pleasing.
Okay.
So
Um,
I don't know. Tell me more about why you dislike it, and then I will try and tell you more about why I like it.
okay. So it, at the very beginning, the very, very beginning of the movie during the credits, they show like the nuclear testing sites or whatever,
Hmm.
and there's like all the iguanas that are swimming around. So it's very clear that this is like a mutated, some sort of lizard. And so it's got the head of an iguana, first of all. The ass end of the thing looks like it has frog legs.
He does. He's got those gams for days.
Yeah, he's super thick. Godzilla is super thick. And then it like when it's so low to the ground when it like borders that it looks like it has a hunchback. And then it has like the short stubby arms like a T-Rex.
Hmm.
So that's
Hmm.
what I'm saying. It's got a cross between an iguana, a frog, T-Rex, and a hunchback. A hunchback of Notre Dame. If they all had some kind of weird baby, that would be Godzilla.
Yeah, so just I want to point this out because I noticed it when I rewatched the movie. So I always thought that this Godzilla was supposed to be based off of an iguana because that's what I remember seeing, sort of when they're going through the intro with all of the like old like nuclear test site footage and stuff like that. And they show all of these images of lizards. And I say lizards because even though iguana is what I remember from when I first watched the movie, if you pay attention to the lizards that they actually show like six different types of
That's
lizards.
true.
Okay, I went through and identified them all. But there's like an iguana, there's like a bearded dragon, there's a Komodo dragon, there's like, and there were like two other ones. So I don't know what was up with that because I'm pretty sure not all of those lizards live in where what was it, the French where was the testing happening?
Polynesian.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that not all of those lizards live there, so I was slightly confused. So, but I don't know. I feel like probably the main influence is still iguana. Um, but yeah, I mean, he does look a lot different than traditional Godzilla, and maybe that's the thing too, is that
I mean, we've already kind of established that this isn't a Godzilla.
yeah,
So, in that sense, it's okay that he looks different. It's okay because
yeah,
it's not Godzilla. We've already established that. But, like I said, title character, his name is Godzilla. And so you it's hard not to compare him to Godzilla. Also, no atomic fire, no atomic breath. Game over. It's
Yeah.
over. It's
Okay,
done.
so I've read that the whole point of this movie was to make Godzilla, I guess, more realistic or as realistic as you can make Godzilla. And so that the director didn't want to give him atomic breath because that wasn't as realistic.
I mean, is a giant uh, iguana with frog legs realistic? Like that's
Well, okay,
come on, Roland.
if this wasn't Godzilla, if you're just looking at this as a monster, as a kaiju, would you like the design? Because there's something like what I really love about it is the spikes, back spikes. Those are really cool. And I like them because I feel like they're reminiscent of older Godzilla designs, but they're like they look more prominent and they look cooler on Zilla's body because it's like not as thick as traditional Godzilla. So I don't
Mhm.
know, they like stand out a little bit more to me. And then there's something about his head with like the larger bottom jaw that I think is really cool. It reminds me of some of the like Dungeons and Dragons art for some of the is it the which dragons? I don't know. I don't remember my dragons. I
I
think
don't
it
either.
was like I don't know. Anyway, that's
Doesn't
just
this is a little bit off topic, but doesn't Toho Godzilla fight uh this Godzilla in one of the Japanese movies?
yes. So in in the movies that came out after this one, when Toho took the rights back from Sony, I think it was a trilogy. But in the third movie, they did have Toho Godzilla fight Zilla.
Doesn't
So
he just get obliterated?
oh
Like,
yeah, he just gets destroyed.
good.
Like that, yeah, he just like gets knocked out of the way and he's done. So yeah.
That's fair. Um, Nothing about him is a Godzilla. Nothing about him is Godzilla. I feel like nothing. His design doesn't look like Godzilla. The way he acts isn't Godzilla. Um, how he's treated in the films isn't like Godzilla really. Like, yeah, they try and stop him. They try and shoot him to death and stuff. But it's like, I mean, that's about the only thing. Everything else is like son of Godzilla.
I,
Godzilla trash.
I didn't see Son of Godzilla.
Don't watch it. Just
Don't
look
watch it.
just look up a picture of the son of Godzilla and you'll realize you never need to.
All right, in chat, Reset says that in that movie, in the third Toho movie, Zilla actually does die.
Good.
Yeah, so he literally just gets killed, Reset. Like he is no more after that movie. And
I
then, okay, so Homeless Simpson says Zilla God is better. What is Zilla God from? Because I kind of want to, is that something different? What is
It
Zilla
could
God?
just be God after.
What? Oh, yes. I thought it might be like a
It
variation
very
of
well could
Zilla.
be. I don't know, but
Maybe. I don't know. I do not know. All right, well, let's see. What else do we want to touch on, or what haven't we touched on?
um the romantic comedy side plot that didn't need to be in the movie.
Okay, we can talk about that.
It starts from like 3 minutes into them getting to New York, and it doesn't end until the end of the movie. It's it is just not. It's not nonstop, but it's always there. They're
Yes.
they're always throwing each other to these like sexually frustrated glances. They're making little comments about their past, and that doesn't.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it didn't. bother me as much. I found it kind of funny. It didn't necessarily bother me, but it definitely was very prominent.
Aquaman
Oh,
guessed guessed who would win, Aquaman or Godzilla. And well, that's a tough question. Is it Aquaman, like old Aquaman, or new Aquaman? Because Aquaman now would probably destroy Godzilla, because now Aquaman's basically just water.
well, couldn't Aquaman control Godzilla since Godzilla is kind of an aquatic creature?
Maybe only once he's in the water. Once he's on, like, I don't know if he could he control him once he's on land. We're
He's
getting
still
we're getting
he
off
could
topic,
control a whale that's on land, right? Because it's still an aquatic creature.
I guess. Sure. Yes,
I don't
Ames. I'm
know.
looking at your chat right now. Yes, Ames, the one with Matthew Brown.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, Ames is asking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other points did I have out of my probably 50?
I don't know. Take a look back through
Okay.
and check it out.
Um. Oh, one thing that really bothered me is, so the fishing boat at the beginning gets attacked, and the French guy is like, he does like the little radiation test on the guy, the old man, and he's like, well, what did you see? And he like pulls out the lighter. Didn't make it. Whatever.
Oh, the sorry. No, no, you go ahead.
Um, he like pulls out the lighter or whatever, and he's like, well, what did you see? And the guy says Gojira. He repeats Gojira, and it's like, well, how do you know what Godzilla is? Like, how do you know what Gojira is if this is a brand new, never before seen thing that,
Yeah. I think I mean, I think that was supposed to be a throwback to obviously like, classic Godzilla, but obviously that creates somewhat of a plot hole, like if this is supposed to be a brand new thing,
yeah,
right? Or maybe you're just supposed to infer that, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess legends have to come from somewhere, right? So
and that's fair
I don't know.
because
I don't know.
it theoretically, is a legend, but if you look it up, Gojira is Japanese for a cross between a gorilla and a whale. And
Oh, really?
yeah, because I read about it earlier already, but there's a bunch of plot holes I feel like in this.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I mean, you know, if you're gonna analyze the story, but I feel like that could be said for a lot of the Godzilla movies, honestly.
fair.
Like so, kind of going slightly off topic here. I really love Shin Godzilla, which was the newest Japanese made Godzilla.
That's the one you made me watch.
Yeah,
That one was really good.
but if I sit and think, if I analyze the movie uh bit by bit, I would have to say that overall the politics, I mean, because the entire story, human side of the story was Japanese politics, and so that was very slow. It was kind of boring. But I feel like if you take the ideas of the movie, the concepts of the movie, and dissect them, I think you end up with a better story. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for Godzilla 1998, but I think that it, from if you're analyzing the story of most of the Godzilla movies, I don't think that you could say that they're like amazing storylines, right?
I mean, yeah, that's true, but it's just it's hard to ignore such big plot holes. Like it makes that big ass footprint in Panama, and then it goes to Jamaica, and then it makes it all the way to New York with no one saying anything. No one
Well,
says anything
maybe
until
it
until it's like destroying half of New York.
maybe it just, hangs around at night. I don't
Sure.
know.
There
It hides in the shadows.
you go. That's uh
So, um, so someone in chat is talking about the Godzillas on Netflix. Have you seen those?
I
And
have
not to transition away from what we were talking about, if we have more to say on that topic, but I thought I would point that out because I heard that there were Godzilla movies on Netflix, but I haven't seen them yet.
I have not watched them. I heard they were pretty good, but I have not. I would like to. I probably will soon.
Oh wait, those are that's the one where like Earth is just completely like overrun with monsters, right? And people live in space and they have to come back down to the planet. I think. I think that's the storyline. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I think that's it. Okay, I am being uh that was confirmed from chat that that is the storyline.
All right, I can dig it.
So it sounds I don't know. It sounds cool. I'll have to check him out.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, so anything like pressing about the movie that you want to discuss, or should we kind of wrap up with our final scores?
Um, I think it's I think I'm pretty
You're good.
I'm good.
Is there anything that chat wants to throw out, either from my side or Tin Man's side? I don't know. I don't know if anyone has anything. I'll let you guys think on that while maybe Tin Man and I give our final reviews. You
Great.
want you want to go first, or should I?
Um, so I'll go first. Let me
Okay.
preface this by saying I'm gonna give two different scores. Um, I think as a Godzilla film, it's a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
I think if you throw Godzilla out and say, as you said, monster romp, it's probably a 6.5 out of 10. It's got good scenes. It's got a good soundtrack, a really good soundtrack. The soundtrack is still good to this day.
Hmm.
Anybody that says differently can fight me. Um,
I thought it was good too. I loved it.
right, it's a good soundtrack.
It is.
Um, if you throw out the stupid romantic side plot and the idiocy of some of the characters, it's got it's got good visual effects. It's got a half-brained but not really stupid story. Um, I've seen worse. I'll put it that
Yeah.
way. But yeah, it's not terrible movie, but don't think it's even close to being as good as other Godzilla movies.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would say that my final assessment is probably pretty close to yours. So if I'm separating it out into a monster romp versus a Godzilla movie, so my original score was 6.5 out of 10, and that was kind of taking into account both the Godzilla and the monster romp side. So I feel like that was kind of split. So if I'm grading it as a monster romp movie, I would probably boost that up to 7 out of 10 because I did enjoy it. I liked the design of Godzilla. I liked the cheesiness of the movie, despite plot holes and some weak plot points. But I loved the baby Godzillas. I did. So I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10 for Monster Romp. And in terms of a Godzilla movie, I would probably give it a 3 out of 10 because
Brutal.
it's not Godzilla at all, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, it's just not. So,
So one last thing, I just thought about this. How um I guess not necessarily compare it, but I'm curious where you would rate like Godzilla 2014, another American made Godzilla film. Where would you
mhm.
rate that in terms of a Godzilla film?
um, so I will give my brief opinion, but maybe this is another discussion,
I think it might
maybe
need to be.
another stream. But I mean, in terms of a Godzilla movie, I okay, just purely on Godzilla, I would give it like a 4.5 or 5. And I say that because the design of Godzilla was great. He looked awesome. However, I I don't like the deviation from the kind of like the classic mythos of Godzilla, where I think that's where I think Shin Godzilla really shined is, you know, the whole, nuclear aspects, the politics of it.
Organized Drunk
I
Gamer.
just I just feel like that wasn't in the American version. I just feel like it's, "Hey, here's giant monster that protects the planet. He has lived on Earth for since forever." I don't know. That whole thing is just not it's
Dude,
not really my jam.
that's not what you want.
It's not what I want. It's
That
not what I
is
like.
that is all I want out of Godzilla. I just want big ass lizard fighting other big ass monsters, destroying stuff. I want it to be WWE with giant monsters. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, I don't dislike monsters fighting monsters. I just like the whole mutation aspect, the whole like radiation thing rolled up into it.
Yeah,
And
no.
I didn't get that from the American Godzilla. Yeah.
Also, the villains, monsters, 2014.
They're bad. They're bad. Oh, just real quick. So we have someone in chat. This is Inked Guy again. So he's asking if this is going to be a regular thing.
Um,
Um, I would like to say the answer is yes, because I have enjoyed this, and I hope everyone in chat has enjoyed it.
yeah, I think this is good because I naturally have pretty strong opinions on movies,
Mhm.
and it's very clear that me and you don't see eye to eye on some of the,
Yeah.
and so it's I think it's interesting, at least from my perspective, that I kind of see the other side of it rather than just my own biased opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, this is definitely something. The real Lesbian followed me, Tin Man.
Now you're in trouble.
But yeah, Inka, I think this is definitely something that we want to continue. I think originally we planned for it to be sort of like a, me and Tin Man, like discussing movies and things. But if people want to be a part of it, and Tin Man can weigh in on this as well. But I think if other people want to be a part of it, I think that's definitely something we could look at. I mean, I would love to have some other opinions on movies. If you guys want to join in, maybe that's something that we can plan.
For sure. Not only that, but it like I see Drunken Gamer in your chat gave out Wild Wild West as another movie that we should review. Like
Oh,
I'm definitely
really?
yeah, I'm definitely
Oh,
down
yeah.
to get different opinion like different requests for movies because personally I think Wild Wild West isn't that bad. Personally,
I haven't seen it in a long time,
what
so
is
I would definitely be
up,
up for
Hater
watching it.
Blocker? Thank you for the 100 bits, buddy.
Yeah. And hey, thanks, Victoria, for the follow. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm definitely cool with adding people. You know, if they want to jump in, and and chat with us. Excuse me, chat with us about whatever. We can set it up in advance. Hopefully, we can get this all figured out. I see Elder Taco back, so we can get that set up look a little bit more professional.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. What I think I missed some stuff. Oh, I don't know. I think I missed some stuff in chat. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with everything that's going on. Lezerin says that Tin Man loves anything people hate and hates everything people love. So,
That's not true. That's that's not true at all. Um, it's not true.
well, I we can explore that. I don't think that's true either. I
Um,
think maybe it's mostly true.
it's
I don't know.
it's not that I love anything people hate and I hate everything people love. It's not like that. I just have very strong opinions on things, and one of them is remakes or reimaginings or reboots. I have a really harsh opinion on most of those. So if you ever want to see me freak out on some stuff, that's one thing that'll do it. I can go on and on about remakes and sequels.
I mean, I think we should definitely like,
Down get
take take a look at like bad movies, sequels. I don't know, maybe that can be its own thing. But hey, if we want to do Wild Wild West next, I would totally be down for that.
Wild Wild
Um,
West was on Netflix.
Oh, is it?
I think it
Okay, awesome.
was.
Yeah, no, I'm totally down for that. And I think it would be great to have, in the future to have people throw out suggestions for us. I mean, because obviously we've got a few movies in mind. I think Tin Man, right? We discussed a couple of them, but if there are things that people in chat want to see, like I'm more than willing to take a look at those as well.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
um, but yeah, Wild Wild West. I'm up for that if you are. So that maybe our next one.
Yeah, I'm was down. I like I said, I think Wild Wild West isn't that bad of a movie. Um, that it gets a lot more hate than it deserves.
I honestly don't remember a whole lot about it. I just remember Will Smith and steampunk robot spider carriages. That's the extent of what I remember.
That's pretty much the movie.
So it should be a good rewatch.
Yep.
So all right, cool.
You done?
Well, yeah, I think we can go ahead and wrap up. If anyone in chat has other movies they would like to recommend, Lesrin, I don't know if Passion of the Christ is is a good one for this, but if anyone else has suggestions, definitely feel free to message either me or Tin Man, and we'll definitely take a look at them.
Yep, for sure.
So, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Tin Man, for doing this with me. It was really fun.
Hey, I had a
And
lot of fun.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to future streams.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Well, and thank you everyone in chat for hanging out, for listening to us discuss Godzilla. Um, really appreciate it. So, all right, cool. Well, that's it for me. All right. See you later, Tin
See,
Man. Bye, chat.
we're gonna find someone to raid. I appreciate, and like she said, if you guys have any real suggestions, Lezrin, for movies that you want to see reviewed, this was just um, I we were talking about it initially started out as 1408, that Stephen King movie with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, and then we started talking about because we're both pretty big Godzilla fans, so we started talking about Godzilla '98, and it was the most readily available. Um, but I thought this would be a neat little kind of break away from the gameplay. Get to see a little bit more of you get to see a little bit more of the human side of both of us. Um, uh, get down into the psyche, how we think, how we look at stuff. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. You guys know where to find me. Um, so I think we're gonna find someone to raid. So let's see. Streaming. If you guys have anybody, uh, Ready Player One. I heard that movie was bad. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard that movie was bad. Doesn't have. Do you have affiliate? Yeah. It's amazing. You've watched it five times. I have the book, and the book is super good. Um, but I have not watched. All right, I will check it out in a second. Ink guy. You guys have anybody that doesn't have affiliate yet? You can go send them some hype. I think it's Cadejo. Is he playing Counter Strike right now? Right? Nero Cadejo. Is that correct? Yup. That's it. All right. I appreciate. I guess I appreciate everybody coming out, hanging out with me, watching this. So it'll. I don't know when the next one will be. We'll have to. Me and Hotter Biscuit will have to figure that out. But I will be around later. Probably hang out with people and stuff. So Hater Blocker, I appreciate the bits. You guys all. I love you all.